Yet another week and yet another Resident Evil Requiem news. This time it is news or a rumor or a leak, whatever you want to call it, that has been present for like every single Resident Evil game in history, and that is that Leon is going to be in this game. Oh, but hold it right there, that's not all. There is this alleged evidence about this, because there has been a certain image circulating around with Leon, and it's this image. I'm just gonna show the image right here, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, I would never lie to my fellow Resident Evil enjoyers. I would never string you along, and I would never pull your leg around, which is why you should like and subscribe right now. I am the only legitimate source of information about these things when it comes to Resident Evil,
because it's what you deserve.
And this image, everything about this image looks AI generated. It is true that Capcom in the past has released like this file-like images, you know, as teasers and stuff. But look at the zombie, for example. Look at the uniform. There is no dot after the D. You know, at the RPD, at the, you know, at those little letters at his chest. If you look at Leon's uniform, it had a dot after the D, which makes sense because, you know, it's abbreviation. Same thing with David King in Resident Evil Outbreak. He also had an RPD uniform, also had a dot after the D. Even if you try to argue that this is a different kind of uniform or whatever, it still makes no sense for there to not be the dot after the D, because again it's an abbreviation and it makes no sense, you know, for the RPD designers to make a uniform like that. That would just be stupid, like you are if you believe this image is real. I'm just kidding. Just the fact that you're watching this video right now is a concrete fact that you are a being of a higher intelligence. But messing the uniform like that is a mistake that an AI would realistically make. But I'm gonna play the devil's advocate for a second. Let's say this image was real. Let's say Capcom made a mistake with the zombie, and let's say that this Leon is Leon from Resident Evil Requiem. Why did my man copy Big Boss? Why does my man low-key look like Daryl Dixon? Why did he copy Goro Majima? This is for sure an interesting artistic choice Capcom would make. I mean, there was an eye patch cosmetics in Resident Evil 4, but what is more important than what's leading to this look is what actually happens in the game, how Leon is involved. Because again, I'm not saying Leon is not going to be in the game. It would make sense for him to be there because Raccoon City is going to be involved in some capacity, so it also would make sense for Leon to be involved because he is very much connected to the city. Also, why would there even be a zombie left in Raccoon City in the RPD uniform if the entire city was nuked? There is no zombie surviving that. There are going to be other monsters in Raccoon City, but not zombies. At least not the T-virus kind. Because Grace, our protagonist, is working for the FBI. Leon, because he's a government agent as well. Probably as soon as it was found out that there are bioorganic weapons involved in whatever Resident Evil 9 has going on for it, Leon was probably sent there to investigate as well. Or again, just because something crazy is going on in the Raccoon City region, they decide Leon is the main man for the job. But hold on for a second. We entertain the idea that this is somewhat what Leon looks like now, as he does in this picture, in this fake ass picture. This looks like Leon kinda stopped taking care of himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still looks good, but we know that Chris stopped working for the BSAA, that he created his own group called the Hound Wolf Squad. And also because the US and its government is not as romanticized in general as it was back in the day when Leon first became a US government agent. Also the fact that Leon only agreed to become an agent just so he could protect Sherry, but Sherry is now grown up and, you know, capable of taking care of herself. Could it be that Leon followed in Chris's steps and went rogue? Who knows? Not me. There is also the fact that, you know, IGN apparently had a slip up where they reveal that Leon is going to be in the game.
Can we also get a shout out? Next time you're looking at some Resident Evil Requiem footage, the hair, RE Engine goes so hard on hair.
Yes.
Leon's, Grace's, looking spectacular.
Apparently the slip up or quote unquote leak was only that, you know, the hair in RE Engine looks great, that Grace's hair looks great, and the IGN employee also said that Leon's hair looks great. Which again is not a big thing, it only sort of confirms that Leon is going to be in the game. And if you thought that this is a big thing, that I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, it was obvious that a legacy character is going to be in the game, like one of them at least. And Leon is the obvious choice because, you know, he's connected to Raccoon City, as I said before. I mean, of course they're all connected to Raccoon City, but when the topic comes up, it's always in regards to Leon. He's the most iconic survivor, he's the most iconic character in Resident Evil in general, but he's also the most iconic Raccoon City survivor. And when we go back to Resident Evil 7, there, you know, Chris also did not appear in the trailer. I mean, his role in that game was very limited. He only appeared at the end and then in the DLC. And in Resident Evil Village, you know, he was in the trailer, but that was because they tried to sell the story that he's going to be in the bad guy. Like, they tried to like subvert the expectations and all that stuff. But anyone with half a brain knew that obviously Chris is never going to be the bad guy. Now there are obviously the rumors that this game is going to be Leon's last game. I do not really see that happening, simply because I think if it was to be Leon's last game, like if he dies or if he retires or, you know, anything happens to him, I think Capcom would push, you know, him in the trailers, in the promo materials and all that stuff. I think they would push him a bit more, even if he would not be like the main character, like the protagonist of the game. I think if he was like, you know, a mentor to Grace, for example, I think he would be a lot more present in all these trailers. I mean, he's not present in the trailers at all. And I think the role of a mentor to this character, to like this new character, would fit Leon in a similar way as Chris was to Ethan. I mean, Chris was not really Ethan's mentor, but Grace also seems to be a lot younger than Ethan was. Ethan was like 33 in Resident Evil 7. But also from like the characterization of both characters, Ethan had like, you know, this I'm looking for my wife type of thing going on for him, like a lot of horror protagonists have. Grace seems to be a lot more scared, you know, a lot more reserved, a lot more anxious. So having Leon be there for her to like give her like a little push, you know, to be braver, to, you know, get shit done and all that stuff, I think that would be a really good dynamics for those two. Further, I mean, I wouldn't call it evidence, but sort of indication that Leon would be the right legacy character for Grace is that Leon simply, a lot of times, is surrounded by women in these games. And I do not mean it in like a joking way, in like, you know, haha, he's very sexy, so of course there are a lot of women around him. But that's just simply the truth. In Resident Evil 2, he's pretty much the only male main character. In 4, he has Louis with him, but his main companion is still Ashley. Then Dark Side Chronicles obviously explains his friendship, you know, his companionship with Krauser. But there is still the girl, I'm not really sure what her name was it like Manuela or something like that. Then Resident Evil 6 has Helena. I'm pretty sure like the only part of Resident Evil where Leon's main companion was not a woman was Resident Evil Damnation and Vendetta. And both of those are movies, so obviously they're made by different people, you know, the writing is different and all that stuff. And furthermore, for, you know, all of his female companions, Leon did, you know, sort of have this older brother role for them, for many of them, at least for like Ashley, where he, you know, pushes her to be brave, you know, she looks up to him and all that stuff. Also for Helena. And for Sherry, he quite literally like gave up his life, you know, he became an agent so she can be safe. And she followed in his steps, she became an agent as well. So for Leon to be in this game in such a role, for Grace, but now she's the main character and he's only her companion. Maybe he's going to have some lines of dialogue where, you know, he says that he's getting old and all that stuff, and he's the one who needs saving now and not the other way around. I think that would function as a nice full circle for him as a character. I think if that was the case, you know, it would also be fitting for him to retire in this game, whether to die or just, you know, leave forever, in a similar fashion like Logan, for example, the movie, where, you know, Wolverine was there for Laura, but it's his last movie, and you know, she sort of takes over until of course he comes back in Deadpool 3, which like completely shits all over the Logan as his legacy. I mean, even if it's not the same Wolverine, but you know what I'm saying. So even though I do not personally think it's his last game, I am open to the possibility. And quite frankly, even though he's my favorite character, you know, I based my entire like channel and page around him, I would actually be glad if it was his last game. I mean, his presence in Death Island and Infinite Darkness was kind of ass. Like, they're completely ruining the character. They're like jerking him around and all that stuff. I kinda want him to have a dignified ending and, you know, keep his integrity. And if he is involved in the game in such a way as a mentor to Grace, it sort of would make sense for him to go in the same steps as Chris and, you know, going rogue and working independently, maybe even joining Chris's group. Because if the main villain is indeed Brandon Bailey, as I have proved in my previous videos that he would be, and I am, you know, very intelligent and the biggest fan, and, you know, I just know these games and I'm smart, so Brandon Bailey is probably the main antagonist, and we know Chris and his crew have been hunting down Brandon Bailey for years now. Then it makes sense if he's here that Leon would sort of be connected with Chris, as he would help Chris to take down Brandon. Also, Leon never took down any of the main Umbrella connected villains, as Spencer was killed by Wesker, Wesker was killed by Chris, and Marcus was killed, well, first by Birkin and Wesker, but then by Rebecca and Billy. And I mean, I guess Leon took down Birkin, but he was only a scientist, he was never like one of the founding members or whatever. Bailey very much is connected to Marcus and, you know, all the elders. Leon was the one who swore to take down Umbrella back in Resident Evil 2.
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
So just give my man his Umbrella kill, even if he's just helping Grace to take down Bailey. Anyway, I think the gist of it is, first of all, do not trust any leakers because they are most likely lying. Second of all, trust me because I am smart and a genius, and you should like and subscribe. Third of all, let me know what you think Leon's role is going to be in Resident Evil 9, if he's going to be there, which he probably is. And final of all, thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. I am really looking forward to Resident Evil 9, just like you are. The S stands for silly, the greatest Resident Evil content creator. Out.